What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk about how to network for success. Networking, what is it really? Is it meeting people? Is it creating connections? I remember when I was much younger, back home in Kinshasa, playing soccer with my friends. It was much easier for me to make friends. And even when I was in high school, it was easier for me to connect with people and become friends. And over time, as you go to college and as you graduate from college, it gets harder and harder to make new friends. Most of the time, we stick to the friends that we've made before. So in this video, I'm hoping to talk about a few ways to connect, to make friends, and to enrich relationships that we already have. The first thing that helped me tremendously in terms of growing was, initially I wasn't even reading that much. I was a kid who just liked playing video games, hanging out with friends and whatnot. But my cousin, who was basically like my older sister, who passed away before 2010, back when we were home in Kinshasa, she had a book, How to Win Friends and Influence Others. That was a book in French. It's also a book that I have with me here. It's a book that I've always valued really tremendously because there is just so much knowledge in this book. And this is a book I recommend to anybody who would like to improve their relationships and basically understand what people care the most about. And to summarize this book at a high level, it's really, you need to remember that people want to feel important and special. So the way you treat them, the way you communicate with them, as long as you stick to that role, you remember that everybody has an ego where they want to feel important and special, you'll already make a tremendous gain in terms of your people skills. So this is a great book that has helped me. And one thing that I've learned though over the years is that books can only get you so far. What you need besides the right mindset, that's the first thing, the knowledge from books, from YouTube videos. The third thing is people. And people is even more important than anything else. With people, you can actually get the right mindset taught to you. You can get the knowledge from them because they've read so many books and they can just narrow down the key things that you need to understand and remember. And ultimately, these are people who are going to help you grow, people who are going to be watching over you, helping you recover from mistakes, mentoring you. So meeting people, to me, is knowing people. It's all about the people you know. It's the most important thing you can do to become successful. The people, let's say, that we know today were, presidents, most of them, it's not because of their IQ. It's not because of their EQ necessarily. Even though EQ plays a role. EQ is emotional quotient, which is basically a way of understanding your own emotion, the emotions of others, and also a way for you to be able to manage those emotions. Almost in a way where the example being somebody can go talk to somebody who's sad. There are people who make things worse. Somebody with a high EQ will be able to talk to that person and help them feel better. It's almost like you recognize the emotion that somebody is experiencing, and you know how to take them from this emotion to that emotion, or this feeling to that feeling. People who know how to talk to people. This is a key thing that we're also going to dive into, how you can improve your skills in terms of people skills and how to build relationships. So today you decide, you know what, my network is too small. If today I need $1 million, I don't know who to call. I need $10,000, I don't know who to call. I need $100,000, I need one. So how can you improve your network so that you have people who can help you financially, help you with knowledge, connect you to the president of your country? Who knows? In general, what is said is that everybody that is in this world, there are 6 dots connecting us. So basically, one of the people you know knows somebody who knows someone who knows somebody who knows whoever is in charge of your country, of America, even Trump. So taking care of your relationships is very key. And the 3 things I'm going to talk about in order to achieve that goal, the first thing being your reputation. And we'll dive more into what is your reputation and why it plays a role. So your reputation in itself is a brand, right? So we're going to go into the details to help you improve your brand, your reputation. And the second thing would be the people skills that you have. We'll also touch upon this, but this is a very big topic. We'll just give you an idea. What is people skills? Why does it matter? And then ultimately, it's your relationship building skills. You may be good at talking to people, being smooth, whatnot, but are you able to build those relationships in a way that helps you in the future, in a way that also helps them in the future? So these are key things. So let me start first by talking about reputation. So that's the number one thing. Before you meet somebody, or when you meet somebody, one of the things that tends to follow you is your reputation. Who is this person? And people are gauging whether or not they should be getting close to you, whether you're somebody who's been good to other people in the past. It's the same thing that happens when you meet a new candidate. You want to know their history. What's their background? Who are they? I want you to hear about whether it's somebody who wants to get a job at your company or somebody who's running for president. Who are they? What is their history? So your reputation is key. And it's also a long topic, but at a high level, when I think of a reputation, some of the things you need to do, right? So you need to master your emotion. Most people, they have a tendency of making mistakes where they let emotions dictate their behaviors. As a result, they ruin the relationships they've had. They say the wrong things to people, and they break some of the rules in terms of how you should be treating people, how you should be talking to people. So one thing to just keep in mind is master your emotions. Most people have the impression that master your emotion is being fake. There is a misunderstanding. There is the difference between always expressing whatever you feel, whether it's anger, and being a master of your emotion. Being fake is usually something that's used by people who aren't aware of what it requires in order to become a leader. As a leader, you may feel anger. You're not being fake when you're not expressing it. If anything, you're choosing to master that emotion because you know that, you know what? The anger that I'm feeling right now, if I say something, it's not going to be wise and I'm going to regret it based on my experience. And what you say, even though you may feel better because you've said it, it's something that's going to stay with the person who's heard it, and you've hurt their feelings. They feel as if you've disrespected them, and as a result, you're gonna ruin the relationship that could have, been a relationship that has taken you 10 years to build. So mastering your emotion is key, and being real is usually something that people use as a way of being insolent, where they just have an emotion, they throw water at you, like in reality shows. There is no need for that. Master your emotion. Don't react on your emotion. It's better to take a break, step out, take your car, go for a ride, or if anything, just don't respond right away. Take the time to process that, think about it, more so than just reacting. Because under that emotion, you'll overreact and you'll do something wrong that is justified by your feeling, but not by reason. When you look back years from now and you start to wonder, why did I act that way? It's not going to make sense to you. And the reason is that you reacted based on your emotions. So that's the first thing. And also, the other thing about your reputation, you have to choose the people you hang out with. Who you hang out with is key. You can, if you hang out with somebody who's a thief, you're going to be almost inheriting from the reputation. So choose the people, based on the reputation. Who are there? If you associate with yourself with people with great reputations, let's say somebody who's been doing great things in the society, then your reputation as a result will become good. And what's good about having people with great reputation in your circle is that it helps your reputation. At the same time, you learn from them, right? In a sense that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Because you're spending time with good people who have a great reputation, you end up ultimately improving your image and your behavior. Because these folks, they'll keep you in line with a set of standards that's different than the ones that you were used to. If I hang out with people who are very successful, people who are hard workers, people who are readers, people who learn a lot, people who are leaders, I'll have a tendency to really become like them, because what I'm seeing, the feedback loop will be created, such as I'll always have this peer pressure that's pushing me to do things that will make me accepted in that circle. So improve your circle by having a set of good friends who help enhance your reputation. Some of them, let's say people who are at church, most of the time they have a standard of behavior that are higher, just because there are things they don't choose to do, places they don't choose to go to. As a result, it's easy for them to have a much better reputation. And this helps you even when a woman is, would like to get married. It's not just about your beauty, it's about your reputation as well. It's same thing goes for guys. So your reputation is key. I'm not going to try to diverge too much, but this is something that I think is really key. Having a great reputation means happens because you are hanging out with the right folks around you. The other thing is also integrity. And by integrity, I mean you have to be a person of your word. We live in a society where some people have a need to sign documents. Some break the words that they've. Some people are don't keep promises that I've made in the past. And as a result, people don't count on them in the future. You have to be dependable, and your words have to mean something. So if you don't feel like there is something you can deliver, don't promise. Being a person of your word is key. People have to know that they can count on you, right? So if you have low integrity where you say one thing but you do the opposite, then over time, people will just not be able to rely on you. And as a result, your reputation will be hurt. And it's better to under-promise and over-deliver. That's something that's going to help you build a great reputation. And then the final thing I would say is choose to help others. It's going to help you tremendously and also help them. As a result, enhance your reputation. You don't do that as a way of improving your reputation per se, but people who have a tendency to help others tend to have a much better reputation in general. Don't do it to gain something from it. You have to do it because it's something that's actually just worthy. As somebody who is Christian or regardless of your religion, there is nothing in the world that's against, no matter your religion, the one thing that's always advised is to be helpful to others. So help other people, be generous with your time and your energy, always be on the lookout for others to help them succeed. Now that I've talked a little bit about your reputation, the second part I said I would talk about is the people skills. People skills is a much more complex subject, but at a high level, what I can say is this book, How to Win Friends and Influence Others, helps out and gives a few guidelines, right? So in this book, for instance, you can win in arguments. This is just something I just opened right away. You can win in arguments. This means that when somebody is trying to argue, no matter what, even if you're right, most of the time, it's not going to help you, right? So arguing is not something that's necessary. You can always have, conversations, you can have exchange of ideas, but in arguments, you always lose. Regardless of whether you think you're right or wrong, arguing is the last thing you want to do. You will ruin a great relationship because of just trying to argue. So in general, what I would say, some of the summary from this book would be the 3 C's. Try to make sure that you don't criticize people, you don't condemn people, and you don't complain. It's hard to avoid doing those things. These are bad habits, but if you can, when you can, spend more time doing the opposite of criticizing. It means spend more time making compliments. Help people instead of showing them what they're doing wrong, show them what they're doing right. Condemning people. Instead of condemning people, it's better to praise people for what they are doing excellently. Yes, this person always does this. This person is always on time, more so than just spending time bad-mouthing other people. This is something that will help you in terms of not just your reputation, but it will help people who are around you to want to remain around you because you don't hurt their ego or reputation. And then the other thing is, basically to make people like you, most people they're so self-centered that they have a hard time looking outward. This book talks about also making sure that you make people feel important and special. And the way you do that is by being interested in other people. So by being interested in other people in a sense that, do you know who their parents are? Have you wondered how well they're doing? How about what are some of the things that they care a lot about? Is it their business? Is it their health, family? Have they lost some weight? Have you noticed their hair? When you start paying attention to what people care about and you make compliments to help them, encourage them, people will like you even more. And this is just some sort of basic skills in terms of people, making sure that you are doing things that helps, their self-esteem more so than doing the opposite. Most people in our community have this tendency of not complimenting somebody who's well-dressed. They'll probably just say something when you're poorly dressed, you're walking around looking lousy. When somebody is, doing something that's actually worthy, instead of making compliments, most people will choose to not say anything. But if they fail, then you have the whole community, everybody online jumping on their throats to say, how dare you do this? How dare you do that? So one thing to do is to really be on the person on the positive side. So be the positive person who's looking for the good. And with this life in general, when you're always looking for something good, you'll see more of it because there's just so much. And you'll realize also that people inherently are just great people. And regardless of what you can hear on the news, people want to do good. Inherently, this is something that helps us feel great. We all want to be loved and appreciated, and that's why inherently it's part of our nature to do the good things. Then the other thing I'd like to talk about is one thing that most people also have a tendency to do is to be stuck in their head, where as a result they never really try to see things from other people's perspective. If you want to build long relationships, you need to really sometimes just take a step back and try to understand the argument that the other person is making. Most people, they end up arguing their position as, the way lawyers would do. I am right, I'm right. More so than just taking a step back and trying to understand the world through the perspective of other folks. So this is a big topic, right? People's skills, understanding how to treat people, how to talk to people. And, but it's the most fundamental skill. So you have a great reputation, you know how to deal with people, you know how to handle difficult situations when there are disagreements with friends. How can I, resolve this? As a leader, when I'm part of a team, how can I resolve this by helping everybody learn from this, grow from this, without hurting their egos or without insulting them in the process? If you don't have great skills, you'll always be insulting people, disrespecting people, and you'll have so many dead bodies behind you, in the sense that so many broken relationships. And another thing that's also key is never burn a bridge. You never know when you may need it. I've seen people so many times make the mistake of dismissing people because they're not, CEOs yet, they're not presidents yet, they're not rich yet, or you're not my boss. So as a result, they end up disrespecting them. Make sure you never burn bridges. Make sure that regardless, you have that heart to forgive. And if you can forgive somebody and take a distance, but really work on your heart to forgive. Biblically, it's, forgiving is something that we have to do. Don't spend the time always trying to seek revenge. Sometimes the best revenge is to do something nice instead. And then moving on from that. What I'm trying to say here is not like, to be somebody who just lets people do wrong to them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to have a set of rules, right? A set of rules that will help you build a network. And fundamental skills is your reputation. So make sure you guard it really well. The second part, I talked about people skills. And when it comes to both of these, be careful with the web. The web today, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook, these are the best way of hurting, offending, a million people all at once. So make sure that you always think twice before posting something online, and have people who can double check, because maybe at that moment you didn't think through it, but you may have spent decades building a relationship or relationships, but it takes 5 seconds to ruin it. So be careful when it comes to that. A relationship is something that it's just like trust. It's so easy to break trust. It takes years and years for people to start trusting you more and more, but it only takes 5 seconds to ruin it and then to not be able to recover. It's like when a glass is broken, that's it. That's the end of it. You can try to put it back together, but you'll regret years later that, this is something that I could have avoided. I could have really maintained this glass together, this relationship together. But because I let my emotion take over, because I was too selfish, I ended up, ruining it. So I talked about two things, right? Reputation and people skills. Let me now cover the relationship building skill. So when it comes to that, one thing that I think is key, at least my rule, the rule that I tend to use is 3 things. I'd say you can come up with your rules in general for how you build your network. For me, the people that I choose to add into my circle are based on 3 things: generosity, loyalty, and trust. So generosity, when it comes to that, I choose people who are generous with their time. And when it comes to their time, somebody who's going to spend the energy, not just helping me, but helping other people. They put the time to help people do their homework. They put the time helping people, whether it's, fix an issue, whether it's somebody who needs a ride, somebody who needs, to borrow something. Can I borrow your lawnmower? Can I borrow your car? People who are always, generously spending, giving their time to other folks, right? So it's you're giving your attention and energy to other people. So your time is one of the things where you can be very generous. It doesn't matter how much you preach out there. If you don't give people your time, ultimately people will notice that, what you're preaching and what you're practicing are totally different. So give your time to people. When you can't give your time, maybe you're too busy, give your money. Now, we all know it's not easy to always be giving money. You can give money, but people get into the habit of asking for more money, more money. But when you can give money, if somebody asks you to give them $100, you can't, but you have $20, give them $20. If people want to borrow money from you, but they won't pay you back, let them, give them instead $20, even $10. It's better to just give whatever you have. If you don't have it, don't disrespect them. You just kindly give them your moral support. But the idea here being you need to be generous, right? You need to be generous. And when you can't give them your time or your money, be generous with your words. Your word meaning giving them a compliment. When you see somebody who's doing the right thing, when you see somebody who's working on improving themselves, being really generous with your words, right? So spending the time to compliment them, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's in person. And it's even better when it's in person, when you tell somebody, or your husband, your spouse, your wife, I like your hair, or you meet a friend and I really like the way those sneakers, those are really nice. Just spending the time complimenting people, giving them your attention. It shows them, first of all, that you noticed, and the other thing, you show them they're important enough. And then when you tell them that, the way they feel is something almost like it's a personal image that they have of you. Every time they see you, they feel some type of positive way because of the things you've done for them. And most people, you have no idea how you can go for a whole day, regardless of all the things you do for your family. Most people walk around out there without ever getting a compliment. And if you're one person who's lavish when it comes to complimenting other folks, it's not about being like somebody who's kissing up. I'm talking about making genuine compliments to folks because you actually notice something nice. They sang well at church, they preached well, and you just take the time to say, I really like your preaching. It helps them tremendously because these folks spend a lot of time, trying to teach you something new for you to grow, help you. And by you spending that little time, you basically build an image, not just that, you're doing something that's good. You're giving them, a kind word. And as a result of a generosity, it's going to help you connect with them at a higher level. They'll want to hang out with you more, spend more time with you. And the other thing being, I talked about loyalty and trust. To me, loyalty is the most important thing because people who have a tendency of betraying, and I'll talk about what betraying means. People who have a tendency of betraying will keep doing that. They just have a bad habit of betraying, of turning against people. And loyalty is key because in this life, there will be ups and downs. There will be people one day who are CEOs, someday who are unemployed. People who are bosses, someday who don't have a job. People who are rich, someday are broke and in debt, and somebody who's free and there with a great reputation, and then tomorrow you end up in jail. Who knows, man? Life is just like today you are president, applauded, tomorrow you're impeached. So having people who are loyal to you, no matter what, in your circle will help you basically smooth out those down turns, in the sense that when you go through difficult moments, these people are always with you. Then you know that you can count on them even more in good moments. And ultimately trust, trusting somebody. If you can trust somebody with your money, you can trust somebody with a secret, you can trust somebody with something that matters to you, and you know that they won't, betray the trust by doing something that's totally opposite of what you would actually expect them to do. And when they make a tiny mistake, they make sure to correct it quickly instead of just being stubborn. Trust is just one of the things where, you don't want to ruin it, right? If you ruin trust, all the time you've invested in that relationship will be almost like lost. Make sure that you don't just run your mouth. You don't betray your friends. This is key. And when you make mistakes, it's one thing is to be so quick in fixing this, because one thing I've learned about broken relationship is that it's almost like somebody has a little wound, but you take so much time trying to fix it that wound remains open. And then as a result, you have erosion where it even, makes you guys so much more distant. Whether you have an issue with a friend or a parent or a sibling, make sure that you don't take too long. You don't know. Tomorrow, you're going to need the help from those people. And it's not just that. For your own good, today, if you ruin a relationship with somebody, and then it's going to be harder for you to even start hanging out with a group of folks when you know that person is going to be there. So it just hurts you, it isolates you. And like I said in the beginning of this video, for you to succeed in life, these books, they can help you get only so far. Money, you can spend it and then run out of it. But for everything else you need in life, it's going to come through people. The money will come through people. The knowledge will come through people. The success will come through people. The promotion will come through people. So make sure that you always spend the time maintaining good relationships. In French, we say soigner les relations, which means like spend the time nurturing relationships. Don't ruin it. You come in this country in America, spend the time building a network, make it expand, use criteria that you think are key to you. For me, it's really, I like people who are out there doing good things, who are generous. I like people who are loyal, because somebody who's not loyal, ultimately, it's going to be a loss for me. If, I spent 20 years helping them and tomorrow they become the president of, let's say, the Congo or Nigeria, whatever country. And then, when I actually need help and they can do it without even it costing them anything, they don't, help me out. It's not why I help them, but it will just hurt so much that I'll be like, you know what? I wish I spent more time on myself instead of other folks. So make sure that the people who've been generous to you, always make sure to, give back. If not, give more. If not, be loyal to the people who are loyal to you. And, you have to offer that first and be somebody who's trustworthy because you're a person of integrity. These are some of the things that I tend to use, and I'll wrap it up by using something from the scriptures. 2 Corinthians 9:6. Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. This is very obvious. So if you spend a lot of time giving more, even, the master of masters, the grandmaster Jesus talked about this. If you spend more time putting in, giving, because you're sharing your knowledge, you're sharing your money, you're spending your time helping other people out, what will come back toward you will be tenfold. It's just a matter of time. It doesn't come right away, but as the more you sow, the more you'll reap. This is a topic that I'm covering because of a very good friend of mine, Emily Gooch, who is the wife of one of my best friends. I think this couple helped me tremendously in terms of advice, moral support. When I became, when I chose to become an engineer, in many ways, it was thanks to them. I learned, we've been friends for almost a decade. Since 2000, I would say 2010. And, if it wasn't for them, I know that my life will take a different turn. So this is something that I've applied in my life, and not always I've not always been very good at this, but it's something that I've been aware of more and more in my life. It's not just about how smart I am, how much I know, how hard I work. I used to just think if I work hard, I'll succeed. I don't need people to necessarily help me, but you'll realize quickly that your hard work, your knowledge, your money can only get you so far. You need people who have more than that. People who will help you in many ways. You'll quickly realize that you're gonna hit roadblocks in your life, and the only people who can remove them are people other than you. And if you've built relationships with people and you've tried your best to maintain them, and one of the things you can do to maintain them, use social media. If you know somebody on WhatsApp, write to them often, and when they do something on Facebook, comment out. When you can, go visit them. When you can, share things with them in sense that, hey, I'm buying something, I'm building something, I'm doing something. Maintain that relationship. Make sure you see each other. When you can, take your phone and call people. This is something I haven't been good at, making sure I call. I'm always, finding excuses because I'm busy, but make sure you find the time. And when you go in an environment where you see that person, make sure you're the one who tries to say hi to them, to talk to them. This is just every time, building that relationship is going to be key, so that tomorrow when you need help, tomorrow when you are somewhere where you need them to help you find somebody who can help you do this or that, or even tomorrow when they are in a setting where you're not there, there'll be somebody who's going to talk to you positively, and you have this aura where you don't understand, like everywhere you go, everything just happens for you easily. People who don't know you lend you money, just because they've heard great things about you. People who don't know you hire you on the spot. Why? Because somebody gave a very good referral, because they've known you for a long time, and this person, I'm willing to vouch for them. So are people willing to vouch for you? Are people willing to say great things about you? So this is something that's going to help you. So it's not your money, it's not everything else you've done, not your education, it's the people. People will help you succeed. And one thing to wrap this up is always be respectful of people, especially your elders, regardless of their success. Even if you feel like as somebody, who was much younger, you're starting to do much better than people who are older than you, make sure that you don't let that go to your head. Respect people, you are your elders, especially in Africa. This is something that we care about tremendously. You have to respect them. And respect is not just, I respect you, it's the words that you choose to use when you are with them, and things you withhold because of the high regard that you have for them. Don't go around, bashing people, you're your elders. Don't go around disrespecting people, you're your elders. And also don't be somebody who's never willing to help out, your younger folks, right? So when you have a younger sibling, or you have somebody who's, a young person who needs help, make sure that you spend the time helping them out whenever you can. It's not always easy to find the time, but it's something that will help you feel good, that will help them evolve. And the only way we can succeed in this country is by succeeding together. Together we can go far. Alone you can go fast. So make sure you go far. Fast, you'll run, and then you end up exhausted, and you won't go very far. But together, because we're helping each other out, this is the only way we can succeed in this country. So if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you smash the like button and share it with friends. Comment out and also share what's your thoughts about what I said and what are some of the ways you try to build your network for success. Thanks again, Emily, for this suggestion, and thank you for all the people who've been giving great comments. I'd like to make a quick shout out to Kent Kabombo in Texas for a great comment he made on a video. And also for everybody else who's been sharing, Uncle Prince Bashia in Texas, and every other folks that I know, so many people, I can't thank all of you, but you guys are doing great things, and God bless you, and I wish you a very, very happy holiday. Thanks again, and see you next time.